Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. My name is Melissa, and today I wanted to use the Spellbinders Betterpress registration press plates. This set is Summer Vibes, and this was the June Betterpress Society little plate kit that we got. And I'm using this for a couple reasons. First, because can you believe we are almost in the middle of August and summer is going to be over before we know it. So I wanted to do something bright and cheery and good summer vibes, just like the plate says here. But the more important reason I wanted to do this one today is because I have a little hack that I wanted to show you. So let's first of all start off by saying this was a Betterpress Society plate, and this was the June of this year. You have to opt into their subscription through a brick and mortar store. I got mine from Firefly Farm in Minnesota, but I did Google it, and there are quite a few stores that have this plate still available. So if you Google it, I'm sure you can find one. But when you get a registration plate, you get this little acetate piece and it has the image on there so you know how to line it up. I don't like to use the acetate piece because my plates kind of slide on it, even though there is a magnet on the Betterpress system. So what I do is I just take it to my printer and I print off some sheets of it, and I will keep that in my, little folder with the plates and everything. So what I did is I've already got this all trimmed down. And when you're using the Betterpress system, this will move. And I have seen a lot of people tape it into place. And previously in another video, I just made sure that I had it pressed down, but I didn't want to do the tape because the tape seems like it is a solution that's not really a solution because it can still move. You know how you tape your dies down to your paper when you're die cutting something, and sometimes it'll still shift. Well, that's what I was afraid of here. So what I did was I took and I cut some pieces. Let me show you. I've got just a really super thick piece of, I don't even want to say it's cardstock. It's not cardboard either. You know, you get this in packing. A lot of companies will put this as packing material. So I took one of these, I cut some really thin strips, and I am just going to push that down in that little gap. And you know what that does? It keeps my press plate from moving. So now I can just take like my bone folder and just push that down so it's even with the platen. I think that's called the platen. And then I don't have to worry about my plate moving at all. And I also did one on the side, and it is just so much more secure because when you're working with these plates, you do not want them to move at all. In case you have to re-ink something, it's just so much easier this way. So we'll just push that down in there, just like that, and then it will not move. Okay, so it was a little easier when I did it the other day. Let me get this in there. There we go. I've got that in there, and that plate will not go anywhere now. If I need to re-ink, it'll just line up perfect and I won't have any shadowing or anything like that. So that's my little hack. It just is so much easier for me than having tape on there. And then if I need to lift it out, because there are little shims in there. If you want to remove, just stick a little pokey tool right underneath here and you can lift that whole thing up. With this set, you get 5 press plates. And first we are going to start, oh, not first. First we need to look at our paper because we want to line it up. I am using my Crane's Lettra. So I've got this template perfectly aligned into the A2 section, but for my pressing, I'm using a 5x7. So I'm just going to bring in a pencil here, and I know I've got a 5x7, and I want to do a background. So I'm just going to kind of mark off where my water goes so I know where to do my ink blending on my background. And then I'm also making little marks at the top because I don't want my ink blending to go too far off of my paper. So I've got that all marked. Let's put this aside and do our ink blending first. So the cotton paper does tear rather easily, so you want to make sure that you use a low tack tape for this. I'm just going to tape it off so we can do some ink blending on there for our water. And those little marks will not be seen when we are done because we're going to trim this out to an A2 size. So let's bring in our ink. And I want a little different combination of water. I've got Waterfall, Blue Jay, and Atlantis from my Pinkfresh inks. And we're just going to get some color on there. I'm starting with my Waterfall. Let me get a scratch paper here. And I'm just going to ink blend different shades on there. And I don't want to go too dark. I'm trying to stay kind of light on there. I don't want to go real heavy-handed, which is hard for me because I do have a heavy hand. And I think we're going to kind of leave it like that. I think that's good. Just a little bit of ink, not a whole lot. And now we can bring in our sunset colors, and we need to remove that mask and just lower it down, just like that. So here I've got Peach Fuzz, Sunkissed, and Peony, and I think I am going to use more Peony than Sunkissed because I just want this to be a really light background. Like I said, not too heavy-handed. I don't want to distract too much from the image. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but I've already got Peach Fuzz on there. So let's bring in just a little bit of Sunkissed. Make sure you tap off. And then I will bring in some Peony. And I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm kind of concentrating just in the middle where my impressions will be. And this cotton paper, I love the look of the cotton paper, or the feel too. Wait till you see this when it's pressed. I think that's good. Like I said, I don't want to go too heavy-handed. So now we can bring in our Betterpress, and that is not going anywhere. I need to tape down my paper. And when I tape my paper, I like to just make sure I put that on the edges because this is cotton paper. It can have a tendency to rip, but I'm not worried about my corners because, like I said, we're going to trim this out into a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 into an A2 size card. And then I also like to put just a little bit on the edge there. So our paper is all ready, and now we can put our plates on there and get those inked up. And we will start with our water. And I am using Betterpress inks and some dye inks. Well, actually just one color in the dye ink. And it's really nice because those just line up right in the registration and everything will be placed perfectly where it needs to go. I think that's good. So for my son, I am bringing in Pinkfresh Sunshine. That just kind of made sense to me to use Sunshine. Just make sure you get that nice and covered, but not too much. I have noticed that the dye inks do have a tendency to be a little too juicy and they will really absorb into that paper. Then I'm just bringing in a little bit of saffron to tone that down just a tad. I'm using Hydrangea for my water. And you want to use a twist motion on these. And as soon as you see that you have good coverage, you can go ahead and press. I think that's probably pretty good there. You know, I always have to do a little extra. So let's bring our plate back in. We have our ink blended panel and we're just going to place that on there and run it through our Platinum 6. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, and that is looking beautiful. Just got a little fuzzy on there. It's not color. So, and where we taped off our water, it looks like that was perfect because we marked it with our pencil. So now we can move on to, let's do our dock. And everything just lines up perfect. And our words. Sending good summer vibes. So for my dock, I am using Bark. And that is a Betterpress ink. And I'm just going to carefully, and I love it that you can do two colors at once. I'm just going to carefully get that inked up. Then I am going to bring back in my Hydrangea and do my words. And just get good coverage on there. You can see it when it's really inked up well. Then we can place our plate back on here and run that through. And that is coming together beautifully. Look at that. I wish you could see the impression that you get. I just love letterpress. That is so pretty. I just love that. Okay, so moving on to our last plate, which is our little island and our palm tree. So here, if you wanted to, you could do this in two colors. I actually did one. Let me show you. It's not my favorite because I think my background is too dark, but you can do your palms in green and your trunk in brown, but it's not my favorite. I think I did my background too dark. But for this one, we are going to do the whole thing in Archival Ground Espresso. And I have found that these Archival inks work just like the Betterpress inks. They are a little bit juicier, but I get a really nice dark image with them. And I found they work really well. They don't seem to bleed like I sometimes get with the dye inks on these smaller images, the more detailed. See that little palm tree there? That's pretty detailed. I think that's good. That is all inked up. So let's try to run this one through again real quick. I just love this part. Let's see what we got. And that is beautiful. That came out so good. And I just love how making sure that that base plate is in position, that nothing moves, and you get perfect alignment on all your images. And if I needed to, I could re-stamp this and then run it through again, and I know it's going to be in exactly the same place. That is beautiful. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this out into an A2 size panel. So I got my panel all trimmed out, and I realized that I forgot to do my sentiment. So with the June press plate, you had the option of purchasing the additional sentiments, which I did. I forgot to put it on when we were doing that. So all I'm going to do here is we'll just add it separately. I'm just going to place that where it would be. I'm going to put my top cover back on, and I am just going to place that over that sentiment. And then when I place the paper the other way to press it, it will be sure to press in the exact same spot. So you know what? Let's do that in, I think I want the brown. Let's use the ground espresso. I can't believe I forgot to do that sentiment on there. So we'll just do it separately. And if we're lucky, it will be perfect on that paper, and it is. So all we have to do is trim that out. I've got my top folding card base here. I've got some foam tape on the back of my image. We're just going to center that, get that placed on our card base, and that is so pretty. I wish you could see the dimension and feel it. I just love letterpress. So then I've got my sentiment here. We're going to add that just right underneath the water. And you know what? I think I kind of like that better. I do. It kind of breaks up that water a little bit. Here is the one I did, and the reason why I was saying I wanted to go lighter on my water. I think I like the sentiment being cut out and placed like that. So now all we have to do is add a couple sequins. I've got some sequins here. I wish I could tell you where they came from, but they were in my little box and they don't have a name on them. I've just got some yellow sequins. Let's just add a few of those. And I don't know about you, but I like my sequins without the holes in them. And that is so cute. Oh my goodness. I just love that. So this is what it looks like when I forgot to do my sentiment. And this is what it looks like when I added my sentiment when we were doing all of the other pressing. But whenever you have a sun type scene, you don't have to always do it as a sun. I did this one as a nighttime moon scene, and I think I almost like this one better. I just love that. And I love the letterpress. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Please give me a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.